Around 2000 BC, Cushitic-speaking people from northern Africa settled in the part of East Africa that is now Kenya. By the 1st century AD, the Kenyan coast was frequented by Arab traders, who, due to Kenya's proximity to the Arabian Peninsula, established Arab and Persian colonies there. The Nilotic and Bantu people also moved into the region during the first millennium AD and settled inland. The roots of the colonial history of Kenya go back to the Berlin Conference in 1885, when East Africa was first divided into territories of influence by the European powers. The British government founded the East African Protectorate in 1895 and soon after opened the fertile highlands to white settlers. Even before it was officially declared a British colony in 1920, these settlers were allowed a voice in government, while the Africans and the Asians were banned from direct political participation until 1944. During this period, thousands of Indians were brought into Kenya to work on building the Kenya-Uganda railway line and subsequently settled there, whilst inviting many of their kith and kin, who were mainly traders from India, to join them. In 1942, members of the Kikuyu, Embu, Meru and Kamba tribes took an oath of unity and secrecy to fight for freedom from British rule. The Mau Mau movement began with that oath, and Kenya embarked on its long hard road to national sovereignty. In 1953, Jomo Kenyatta was charged with directing the Mau Mau and sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. While Jomo Kenyatta was in prison, the British rule tried to entice Tom Mboya and Oginga Odinga to betray Kenyatta. But Tom Mboya and Oginga Odinga refused to cooperate with the British rule and stood with their then leader, Jomo Kenyatta.
Jomo Kenyatta is the father of the African nationalism and the African national movement in this country.
But surely you're all rather more advanced than he is in your thinking about politics. Wouldn't he embarrass you if he was really let go now?
We cannot in any sense be more advanced than our teacher and master, whom I think is much more advanced in political outlook in this country than we are. We are still just in the stages of learning politics from him.
He's alert, he's capable, he's completely well informed, and I am satisfied with him as the leader of this country.
Another freedom fighter, Dedan Kimathi, was arrested in 1956 for his role in the Mau Mau uprising as one of the leaders of the struggle for independence, and was subsequently hanged by the colonialists. Kenya was put under a state of emergency from October 1952 to December 1959 due to the Mau Mau rebellion against British colonial rule, and thousands of Kenyans were incarcerated in detention camps. During this period, Africa's participation in the political process increased rapidly, and in 1954, all three races, European, Asian, and African, were admitted into the Kenya Legislative Council on a representative basis. In 1957, the first direct elections for Africans to the Legislative Council took place, and those elected increased the people's agitation for Jomo Kenyatta release from detention. In 1962, Kenyatta was released to become Kenya's first Prime Minister when Kenya finally gained independence on December 12, 1963. The following year, Kenya became a republic with Kenyatta as its first president. The same year, Kenya joined the British Commonwealth.
Ruru! I, Jomo Kenyatta, being chosen and admitted to the cabinet in Kenya, do swear that I will be true and faithful to Kenya, and that I will, to the best of my judgment, freely give my counsel and advice for the good management of the public affairs of Kenya.
In 1966, a small but significant leftist opposition party, the Kenya People's Union, was formed by Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, a former vice president and Luo elder. KPU was banned shortly thereafter and its leader arrested in 1969 and Kenya became a de facto single-party state. Jaramogi Oginga was then released from detention in 1971. Following Kenyatta's death in August 1978, Vice President Daniel Arap Moi succeeded him as Kenya's second president.